What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Planet Soccer Podcast. Back after a two-week hiatus. Is that what we're looking at, Dylan?
Just about. Yeah. Probably since the last time we recorded, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so. But we've been seeing you guys' comments on our video, and we know we screwed up a lot of the recs and facts, and we apologize. There is more than one Welsh team in the Football League. Ryan Reynolds is originally Canadian. And apparently England has a positive sentiment towards Wrexham. Not what I've seen on Twitter, but I'll believe the comments.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys watching and commenting, though. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, share, whatever you may do with your favorite podcast now. If you like our content, once again, we appreciate the views. I think we're up around 500 viewing hours now, Dylan. So that's pretty incredible. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a different episode. We don't normally get into the politics of the sport. However, there's a pretty significant ordeal going on over in Italy right now. As a Tottenham fan, I've kind of experienced some blowback on, or not blowback, some of the ramifications of that court case / legal dispute with Juventus on, when was it? You know what day was it? Was it yesterday where they came out with the announcement?
That it got confirmed.
Yeah.
It got confirmed, I think just yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday because it was like in the middle of the Roma match right before they scored and like 10 minutes before Juve kicked off, it all came out. So, that would have been yesterday.
Yeah, so Juventus started the day yesterday in second place in Serie A, well on their way to Champions League qualification, playing pretty hot soccer as of late, playing very, very well, actually. And boom, 10-point deduction in the Serie A table, drops them down to 7th place. I think Milan would have to really screw up. Milan sitting in 4th, Juventus is now in 7th. They would have to really screw up for Juventus to make Champions League. Europa League still on the table, but right now Juve is sitting outside of a European spot. So that would be a pretty big deal for the giant of Italy. Dylan, as an Italian soccer fan, what are your thoughts on this? We've kind of seen it coming for a while. There's been some appeals, some changes in the penalties, but this one feels a little bit more final.
Yeah. As far as the point stocking, it is all but final. I believe Juve came out and said, "Oh, we have the right to appeal this again." I don't think anything more will come of it, though. I do think the 10 points is kind of what we're going to see deducted from their season total. In January, it was 15 on appeal. Obviously, those points were reinstated during the appeal process, and then the appeal process decided to levy a final of 10 points. As you said, dropped them out of comfortably finishing in Champions League to they need to beat Milan, which is a home game. They need to beat Milan on Sunday, and then Milan has to, I believe, not get any points against Verona, who's a relegation side. So, like you said, it would take a huge misstep by Milan for Juve to get Champions League football at this point. Europa League still in play. Conference League is still in play. If that's even a good thing, we can kind of talk about that a little as we go, how they'll look to move forward. But overall, like the why of it, I remember being slightly confused back in January because we started to want to dive into it for an episode today. I kind of dug into it a little bit more because all I kept seeing was they're in trouble for misrepresenting their player valuations and transfers. I'm like, well, how does that, like, what do you mean? Like, it's market value. Somebody pays something for somebody. Like, what do you mean?
Not always market value, Chelsea.
Right. But hey, as the selling team, you got what somebody was willing to pay, which in turn, somewhat by definition, is market value because somebody in the market's willing to pay it. Right. So I was super confused back in January, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit more since we were doing this episode. And the biggest thing on it was after doing not even a lot of research, but just doing a little bit more reading than I had previously done. It's mainly coming from player swap deals. And when they report the offloading of player valuations from those swaps, they're way overinflating what the value of guys they gave up and way deflating the value of the guys they brought in. Yeah, there is a specific
Yeah.
word for
Hey,
that.
not to cut you
The
off,
two
but if
biggest ones.
you guys are wondering what the heck we're talking about with swap deals, all that, go check out our transfer market episode. We did kind of I don't want to say deep dive, but it's kind of a summarized deep dive into the nature of the transfer market and the characteristics, excuse me, of the European soccer transfer market. So check that out if you're confused at this point in the episode. Anyways, continue, Dylan.
And now that you've gone back and listened to
Yeah,
that, welcome back.
back.
The two biggest examples of this that I found were the Cancelo and Danilo swap in 2019 with Man City. And then, honestly, there was a guy with Arthur Melo swap in 2020 or 2019. It was some Bosnian guy that I had never truthfully heard of. And granted, this was like during COVID. I wasn't quite all the way like back into the deep dives of soccer, but I had never heard of the guy. They reported he was worth 80 million euro, and a year later he was sold by Barcelona for 20 million euro. That's a pretty big drop in value over 1 year. Obviously, he didn't work out at Barcelona. That's why they were trying to unload him. But that was kind of the two biggest examples that I saw when doing a little bit more reading on it. I mean, it does kind of make a little bit more sense now. Obviously, we'll dive into in one of our explained episodes in the future, hopefully with the help of our friend Dr. Nick, explanation of financial fair play and what it all means. But essentially, by doing that, they're able to report a profit from those transfers instead of a loss, thus balancing their books for financial fair play reasons. And that is a huge no-no, especially for them. The reason it has come up in Italy specifically is because they are a publicly traded company on the Milan Stock Exchange. And that's why the police are the ones that actually started the investigation and then took that investigation to the Italian Football Federation. And they're the ones levying those. But they're in huge legal trouble as well as just trouble with the Italian Federation because they are a publicly traded company.
They are,
and they're just lying about their
this
books.
Is something like if you saw this with an American Fortune 1000 company, maybe not like Apple or something like that, but one of the larger middle-sized companies, if they did something like this, everybody would be going to jail. Their CEO would, or whoever was leading that, managing director, whatever, you would never see the industry again for sure. Maybe the never see the outside of a jail cell ever again. Huge no. Misrepresenting your books. Their ticker JUVE on the the Italian Stock Exchange. Are they on all stock exchanges?
Honestly, I don't know. I know some are on American Stock Exchange. Like I know
Man U.
I know like Man U, you can purchase shares of. Is the first one offhand. Honestly, I have no idea if you. But their value is pretty funny right now. I just pulled it up.
Market Watch has a good summarization of Juve's finances right now, and to give you guys kind of a picture, their EBITDA is down 453% year over year from 2022 or 2021 to 2022. So, not going good for Juventus right now. What else you got, Dylan?
I mean, that's kind of the big like why this has all happened. I think now I think most of our listeners would rather hear us dive into the soccer or football ramifications rather than the financial ramifications or the legal ramifications. We are far from experts on soccer. We're even further experts on accounting law in Italy. So we'll leave you, if you really have interest in that, do your own research on all of the ramifications that might come legally. But we'll kind of stick to what it means for Juve as a football club. And how they're going to be able to move forward possibly from this, what they need to do to move positively forward. They're a club that has seen bigger punishments levied. They are a massive brand, so I do think it's something that they will kind of be able to rebound from. But we'll kind of focus more on that, kind of rolling forward here. So what do you have for me on that, Reed?
So
what has their response been, or what is their plan, or your thoughts on how they'll move forward?
So their plan naturally is, on the surface, to everybody on the outside, say, hey, we're going to do our best to qualify for Europe in these last two games. It is what it is right now. Our lawyers are going to take care of the legal side. we need to qualify for Europe. To give you guys an idea of how big a deal qualifying for Europe is, maybe not for Juve, it's kind of a drop in the bucket, but for European soccer teams in general, the group stage payout is 15.64 million per team. Europa League is 3.63 million per team, and Europa Conference League is 2.94 million per team. So if you look at it, the Conference League gets less than 1/5 of what the Champions League group teams get. So, that's 13 million in revenue just like that Juve gets taken away, which when you lose $50 million over a year, that's money you could certainly lose, and one that's not going to help you bounce back from a mountain of legal issues. On the field, as far as their squad goes, they're going to have to make some sales. They were going to make sales anyway, most likely, but Dusan Vlahovic, a guy that they would love to hang on to for the long term, they're probably going to need to cash in on him. Not as much maybe because of this situation, but partially because of this situation. They're also probably going to get some big bids. It looks like Chelsea is going to be in on their Serbian striker. So I'm sure there are other reaching ramifications when you actually took this a step farther than I looked into. So I'm sure you have some other things, maybe domino effects that might come out of this.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this for a side like Juve, they're losing out on, I'd say, a minimum of 20 million euro just from prize money. Because you get the 15, 16 million for just making the group stages, and then you get, I think you get like 2 million a win in the group stages or something like that, and another 15 if you make the knockouts. And Juve would likely have been a team that would at least flirt with making knockouts and get 2 or 3 wins, couple of draws. So we're talking minimum 20 million that they're missing out on by not qualifying for Champions League at this point, which it is highly, highly unlikely that they qualify for Champions League, which would actually be, I strongly dislike Juve, but it would be pretty damn funny if through all of this, they're just like not that negatively affected on the field. It's like, here's your big deduction and screw you guys. We're still going to go qualify and get all that money back. But not only are they going to have to sell to balance books, you're going to have guys that just demand to be sold because of the level of football they're looking to play. Like you said, Vlahovic, I think Kulusevski is obviously currently at Spurs, but somebody who I think wouldn't want to be stuck playing Conference League, so would likely want to be sold somewhere. Probably not Spurs at this point, but may want to be sold somewhere. He's another guy you could demand a lot of money for.
We have an obligation to buy on Kulusevski.
Oh, it's an obligation. I thought it was like an
option. It's a $35 million option that is, we're probably gonna take that.
Okay, so he's gonna be stuck. Maybe not even in Europe Conference League.
Which it is the Premier League, so just naturally, like, you're more accepting to not playing Europe football if you're playing in front of millions and millions and millions across the globe than you are in Serie A, which not very many people watch comparatively.
Right. Another name that kind of crossed my mind on what might happen to him is Chiesa.
Yeah.
He's been a guy who's been hurt regularly in the last 2 years, but certainly probably their second or third most notable name.
He's a top player when he's healthy.
If not in Italy,
yeah.
If not in Italy, maybe their most notable name because he is such a talent when healthy. So those are guys that you can get money for, decent money for, and guys who may demand to be sold. I want to say I saw today or yesterday that Vlahovic has actually said, like, I'm actually cool staying at Juve. So if he does stay, that's going to be even more interesting. Like, everybody's talking about how they have to sell.
Yeah.
Who's like left that can really demand a high fee?
Yeah, they just got Bremer.
Guys like
Bremer was just a recent purchase. Vlahovic is 75 mil, Chiesa is 50 mil, and then Bremer's 40. You got Rabiot 30, Locatelli 30.
Rabiot's on the way out though, because Rabiot and Di Maria are both out of contract.
Juve's got a lot of older guys cracking north of 30 that are on heavy wages. So then you've got the whole Pogba situation.
So yeah, and when you have those heavy wages, it's really tough to offset by getting Conference League or non-European revenue, especially when you're going to be even under a bigger microscope moving forward. So you can't get kind of cheeky with things. For a U.S., the last kind of name that popped to my head of this may actually be not a bad thing for them is Weston McKennie. It's come out in the last couple of days that he hasn't been super thrilled with his time at
Really?
Leeds, and will be looking to leave Leeds. Not interested in returning to Leeds next year. Now hasn't said like, hey, I want to go to Juve. Within the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of rumblings that Juve would be open and looking to sell him. But if they are having to sell these other players, it might leave more of a room for him to get more of a substantial role on a side that at the end of the day it is still Juventus.
Yeah.
It's still one of the 3 or 4 biggest clubs in Italy. So I think that could actually end up being somewhat of a blessing in disguise. He may not get to play with the best talent that Juve's seen in the last 10, 15 years, but he would still have a chance to play for Juve in Serie A in a more predominant role than he's seen previously. I'd love to see him back in the Prem, even if it was kind of as a rotational guy just to get that Premier League experience. But next best thing is a full-time starter at Juve in Serie A, I would say. So there is a slight silver lining for American fans that aren't Juve fans. It may open up a little bit of a door for McKennie to get a little bit more time there.
I'm not going to pretend like I know more about this situation. If you guys want to learn more about it, I'm sure The Guardian, Independent, Sky, all those English publications over in Europe are probably going to cover it pretty heavily in the next weeks, months. So check those stories out, and we appreciate you guys listening. As always, Dylan, you have anything else before we head out of here?
No, it was pretty nice and concise. Good work.
First one back. We're knocking some cobwebs off, so got to get our flow back. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, duet, stitch, comment, like, and all the above. We'll talk to y'all next time.